Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone is having a nice Friday. Unfortunately, we're not having a super great Friday, Carmelo.
No, we are not.
Because we're going to be dealing with the potential for some ice this evening.
I know. We're still waiting for our first measurable snow, and we're going to deal with some freezing rain instead.
Yeah, it's kind of a pretty raw deal there. I know you are very excited for finally seeing some snow. I know other people are. My two children are in that list. And we're going to skip straight past it and just go right to the worst kind of wintry precipitation there is.
No, this is the event that gives people the most anxiety. And I don't blame them, I mean, ice is definitely more difficult, in my opinion, to drive around in than snow. I think it causes more travel impacts. When you see your first winter weather advisory of the season here in Lincoln, you expect it to be for snow, but it's just not going to be the case today, where it's going to be that liquid precipitation, freezes right on contact. Those temperatures today are going to be a really important part of what we see.
It is. So we're going to dive through a little bit here, just what we can expect over the next 24 or so hours. It'll be a little bit of a mess, but we'll try and get through it the best we can. So first graphic, again, you can see here, winter weather advisory. We always really appreciate our partners with the National Weather Service.
Yes.
Because, each office issues their own stuff. So, in Nebraska, we have the Omaha office. There's an office out in Hastings, out in North Platte. And sometimes the start time and the end time of these advisories can all be a little bit different because, weather, is moving across the state, impacting different areas at different times. But for everyone, this is all the same. This is going to be from 2 o'clock this afternoon through 9 o'clock Saturday morning for really almost all of eastern Nebraska.
Absolutely, and even in terms of the issuance, they were all basically issued right around the same time. I saw the advisory come in for Grand Island first, then I saw some in Missouri and Iowa, and Omaha followed suit right after that. So I think everybody was on the same page, and it covers, much of the state of Iowa. So it's a pretty widespread freezing rain event that we're going to see.
And what you don't see, it's just off screen there. There's actually, and you don't see them that often, but there's actually an ice storm warning. Just to the kind of south and east of the Des Moines area. So again, if you happen to be traveling maybe tonight off that direction, that is something you're going to want to keep in mind, is that conditions probably going to deteriorate pretty quickly this evening with the onset of this freezing precipitation. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, Carmelo, different precipitation types.
Yes.
Again, this is why when folks ask me what's my favorite thing to forecast, what's my least favorite thing, wintertime stuff is my least favorite, because we're not only concerned with what the temperature is here at the ground, but throughout the height of the atmosphere, because as that snowflake is falling, it might melt, it then might refreeze depending on the temperature where it's falling.
Absolutely. And we don't even have to just worry about surface air temperature, temperature right above the surface. We have to worry about the temperature at the surface, on the ground, and that's going to be a key part of what happens today. The temperatures aloft, just above the ground, could be right around 33 degrees. Warm enough to support rain, but the temperature on the concrete, on any of the roadways, probably around 28, 29 degrees today, and that's going to cause those problems that we're expecting. But absolutely, there's definitely a variety of precipitation types. I think precipitation starts off as snow. It's colder off at the top, and depending on the layer of the atmosphere, how warm that column of air is, like we're showing here in this graphic, determines what happens. So we could see rain, so starts off as snow, melts, doesn't refreeze, just turns into liquid precipitation. That's, the most common thing that we see. We're not seeing any snow in the summertime. We are seeing warm air basically above the surface, so we see rain. But tell us what changes, Bill.
But certainly, in the fall and in the spring, you kind of work from left to right.
Yes.
Across this graphic, where hey, we're going to start as rain, but eventually it's going to get cold enough. Maybe when the sun goes down, we'll see it change over to snow. But we're going to kind of actually work almost from right to left as we go over the next 24 hours, because there could be some sleet that mixes in at times with the onset of this precipitation. And so you're going to have this warm layer that's going to be in the mid-levels. So our moisture is going to be liquid, but obviously at the ground it's going to be below freezing, and so we're going to see the sleet, we're going to see the freezing rain. Eventually tonight we'll see it warm up enough that we're going to look for it to turn over to all rain, and that would then continue into Saturday morning. So again, it's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge of precipitation types as we head over the next 24 hours. And this is a new graphic in our arsenal, Carmelo, just to, again, kind of make things, because there's grapple, there's sleet, what is it? what are we dealing with? And so freezing rain, we're going with that glaze of ice, like on a glazed donut.
Yes, it's not going to bounce up and down. The sleet is like the ice pellets that you can see that are going to be bouncing off the ground when they do occur. But that glaze of ice, that's probably one of the worst things you could see in terms of winter precipitation. Causes a lot of problems. You really don't need all that much, too. I mean, we're talking about a glazed, about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. And once you start to get higher than that, it really starts causing problems. It's definitely different with rain and snow. You want to talk about several inches to talk about problems. Not even close to the case with your freezing drizzle. I'd almost rather see sleet today.
Yeah. I would too. Again, it only takes a couple hundredths of an inch of ice to make things pretty slippery. And as we head through this evening, any untreated surface, sidewalk, parking lot, driveway, residential streets that might not be treated, those are probably going to be the big problem
and there are going to be untreated surfaces. I mean, that's almost a guarantee today, because this is going to be widespread. It's not going to be freezing rain in just one part of town, and then it changes over to rain in another part of town. It's going to be a gradual changeover across the area, basically across southeast Nebraska. So just make sure to give yourself some extra time today, both when driving and just going out and about.
And those bridges and overpasses, there's a reason why they say bridge may be icy.
Yes.
Because, they're exposed on both the top and the bottom. So, again, those surfaces freeze a little bit quicker than just a normal road. So, again, those also have the potential to be pretty slick this evening. So, again, weather headlines, again, we are expecting that freezing drizzle to impact the area. Starting this afternoon, really, is when we're going to start to at least see those chances begin. That's going to continue through this evening. I'd say probably all the way up until midnight or so.
I think that's what the advisory said. I think the unfortunate thing today is that the changeover to all-out rain has slowed down over the last couple of days. I think we were expecting that the last couple of days, maybe around 6, 7, 8 p.m. in the evening. That's now closer to midnight, and now we're expecting it to start this freezing drizzle around 2, maybe 3 p.m. at the latest. But I think for the evening commute, we are going to see slick spots, and that's really unfortunate. I mean, we have the Stars game tonight, we have a volleyball game tonight, we have a basketball game tonight, so a lot of people are going to be out and about in the capital city. So really just want to give yourself extra time, not only because the increased traffic, but because of the weather conditions.
It's not all bad stuff, though. The weekend won't be a complete
No, Sunday's looking great.
Sunday is going to be very mild. Looks like it should be an excellent day if you're hoping to get outside and enjoy some nice weather. So sky views, Carmelo, from across the state. Again, you can see some of the clouds. Not very thick just yet, and that's one of the other things, is we're going to have to wait for these clouds to really thicken up, the moisture to arrive, and then when we get to the radar, the drizzle doesn't really show up on the radar all that well, if at all.
No, surface observations will be important today, so we'll have to keep checking what's happening at the airport, and we get updates every 5 minutes or so, and we'll definitely see some changes once it starts to happen.
So it's 22 degrees right now. Again, in about 12 hours, it's going to be about 32 degrees.
Yes.
So it's going to be kind of one of those weird days where, our normal afternoon high is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Our high temperature for the day today is probably going to happen at 11:59 tonight. Or close to it, but feels like 10, so it is cold out there.
It's better.
This morning. Temperatures on the Tempest weather stations here in town. Again, you can see it's upper teens and low 20s for most locations. And temperatures statewide, again, it's teens and 20s out there. So again, chilly Friday morning across the state. And an east and southeast wind, Carmelo, that's blowing pretty good at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Again, usually when you have a south wind, that helps us warm up a lot faster. I'd say with the more easterly component to our wind today, that's not helping us warm up any faster.
Cloud cover is not helping us anyway either. The cloud cover, it's really going to slow down our temperatures. And the good thing is about the wind, it's not going to be too strong today. So if we do see some ice accumulation, it's not like it's going to be really weighing down on any branches or any power lines like that. We should see winds around 5 to 15 miles per hour today, so that is a good thing. We don't want it to be too breezy out there.
And, which way the wind is blowing, it makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
A westerly wind, for the most part in Nebraska, a westerly wind is kind of what we would call a downsloping wind. So it actually, if you're looking for fog or drizzle or things like that, a westerly wind's not great.
Okay.
But an easterly or southeasterly wind, that's a little bit more of what we'd call an upslope wind. I'm looking at you as I'm saying this like I need to explain this to you. And so that actually would be better if you want fog, drizzle, things like that. So
that's what we're going to see today. We're going to see that drizzle.
And so you factor in the wind, Carmelo. Wind chills. It's cold as 1 below right now in O'Neill, 3 in Ord, Albion, Broken Bow, 7 in Grand Island, 10 here in Lincoln. So again, it's bitter out there. So this is the satellite radar picture right now. And again, you look at it and you're just like, whatever. and that's kind of probably how it's going to look for a good chunk of the day today.
Yeah, not a lot of sunshine today. I mean, and you really see that cloud deck really begin to thicken up if you look towards like southwestern Nebraska and northwestern Kansas. That's where it really starts to see the change. Maybe some darker grays, some darker whites, but a little sunshine in northeastern Nebraska right now. That's disappearing. So just a cloudy day overall. And like we said, I think around 2 p.m., I think that advisory is basically right on the dot. Around 2 p.m., we're going to start to see that drizzle in much of eastern Nebraska.
And so I can actually punch over here. This is the visible satellite imagery. Again, you can see, so for the most part, it's fairly thin cloud cover. There's a bunch of breaks in the cloud cover. Yep. So it, again, hasn't quite thickened up just yet, but it will continue to do so. You zoom out, look at a regional view. Overall, right now, things do look pretty quiet. You zoom out, look at a national view. Overall, for the most part, things do look fairly quiet for us. But we check out SkyCast, Carmelo. This is our rapid refresh model, our extended rapid refresh model. So this goes out about 48 hours or so. And this is the model that I think we like the most in the Weather Center, because we feel like it is most representative of what likely could probably be the worst case scenario unfolding for us in terms of the freezing precipitation.
Absolutely. I mean, there's still a lot of variety of what could happen today. I mean, it's one of the most difficult things to forecast, as we said, because temperatures not only vertically you have to worry about, but at the surface and just above the surface, what it's going to be. And I do think we're going to see widespread freezing drizzle. And like you said, it might not show up on radar, but we're going to know that it's going to be happening. And I think 2-3 o'clock sounds like a really good idea. And you could see already the changeover to rain in northeastern Kansas. It's just how quick is that going to be? That's really going to alleviate some impacts.
So you can see the freezing drizzle there, the pinks showing up, starting at around, again, 2-3 o'clock, like Carmelo said. And you go forward in time in 3-hour increments here, and that freezing drizzle, maybe some light freezing rain, continues to kind of spread across the eastern sections of the state as that warm air continues to try and punch its way into the area in the mid-levels. Still waiting for temperatures to get above freezing at this point at the surface. So again, still expecting freezing precipitation. That continues. You go forward another 3 hours in time. You're at 9 o'clock this evening. Again, you would expect on a normal day temperatures to be cooling off at this point, but we'll actually continue to see fairly steady temperatures, if not increasing a few degrees. And then as we head towards late tonight, that's when we can start to see that changeover beginning to happen in the far southeast.
And I do want to say, it's just because we see pink from the Tri-Cities into Lincoln and into northeastern Nebraska, it's not going to be just one blanket amount of freezing rain. I was reading from the National Weather Service earlier. They were talking about the rain being a little bit cellular, and what they meant by that is that there's going to be areas of heavier precipitation. So I'm assuming the ice accumulation is going to be a little bit quicker in some spots. Mm-hmm. Now, where exactly is that going to happen? Difficult to tell. I think north of I-80 and west of 29, so right around Columbus, Norfolk, just west of Tacoma, probably the best area to see a little bit higher the accumulation. And like we said, it doesn't really take all that much, but it's just going to be a messy day across the area.
It is. And so you go past midnight, and we start to see, excuse me, especially in the southeastern corner of the state, that changeover continue to occur, still dealing with some of the freezing precipitation, again, probably north of Interstate 80, but then further into Saturday morning, you're still dealing with maybe some pockets of heavier rain. You would almost argue there, Carmelo, based on the contour, is there
I wouldn't be surprised if
rumble of thunder maybe mixed in there as well? Maybe a little elevated instability mixed in there, but 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, again, concern here is maybe do you almost see some heavier freezing precipitation into early tomorrow morning, especially on the northern half of this sort of band of precipitation. And then past 6 a.m., again, a lot of the moisture begins to move out of the area. Certainly think by noon tomorrow, most of the moisture is really east of the area into Iowa. We'll still be dealing with likely some cloud cover through Saturday afternoon, but at that point should generally be dry and should be above freezing. So again, anything that might have fallen as freezing, should be melting at this point.
Absolutely. I think we'll start to see things improve significantly by midnight tonight, and especially by noon tomorrow. But this is one possibility that you're seeing on the screen right now. I mean, I think this is definitely one of your worst case scenarios. I mean, if we see a quarter of an inch,
don't take these numbers as gospel.
Yes.
This is I think this is representative of what we could see, but I think honestly we need to push the numbers a little bit
further to the north.
Yep. I think along and north of Interstate 80, from up near Wahoo to up to Tacoma, like you said, I think those are probably the areas that have the potential to maybe see a 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice. I don't think we'll see that quite that much here in Lincoln. Again, if we did see that much, that would be a problem.
That would be a problem.
Quarter inch of ice would be a problem.
And it's going to be an evolving situation. I think we'll have a better idea once this actually starts how long it's going to take before that change over to rain. So don't be surprised if we see maybe an upgrade to a warning. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if this scenario does pan out in some areas, a quarter of an inch is probably all it takes to really cause some problems.
Yeah, and so basically what folks need to know is basically anywhere in eastern Nebraska, so O'Neill down to Grand Island, Hastings, and over, you basically have the potential for maybe up to a tenth of an inch of ice accumulation, and there's going to be a band of potentially some heavier amounts between a tenth to 2/10. We think that's going to be kind of in east central parts of the state. But again, it just only takes a couple tenths of an inch to make things pretty slick. So again, everyone in the eastern half of the state, you're just going to give yourself extra time this evening, give yourself extra time early tomorrow morning as you head out the door. In terms of just liquid precipitation, though, Carmelo could be a fairly decent moisture event for us. And again, I use that in relative terms to what we would normally see in middle parts of December.
But we haven't seen anything. We've seen just a trace. I think. I don't think there's been any
your
measurable.
Daily average for rainfall for liquid precip in December is like 400s.
Right.
So, if you end up with half an inch, that's almost what you'd average for an entire month in just a day.
We just see that, yeah, absolutely. So looks like a quarter to 3/4 of an inch potentially.
Yeah, and so 3/4 is probably on the high end. I'd say probably even more quarter to half an inch probably on the high end, and those amounts would likely be in the far southeastern corner of the state.
Yes,
that see that change over a
sooner.
little bit quicker.
Yep.
And in terms of what Carmelo is really looking for, measurable snowfall, this really is a nothing burger when it comes to a snowfall event. You might see some snowflakes mixed in at times,
but nothing
and maybe
sticking.
northeastern Nebraska could see a dusting to maybe a tenth of an inch or two, but really we're not looking at anything in the way of measurable snow.
And I can tell confidently that it has been going down over the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
This was further south, 48 hours ago, maybe with some slightly higher amounts, but wouldn't be surprised if nowhere across the state saw any measurable snowfall. But we'll see. Northeastern Nebraska does have the best chance.
Little disappointing. So high temperatures today, Carmelo, mid-20s to low to mid-30s out there. Again, you can see the high here in Lincoln today. We're expecting it to be 32 degrees. We're also expecting that to be, again, close to midnight tonight. So, again, it's going to be one of those weird days where temperatures rise through the day. Even after the sun goes down, temperatures will continue to climb as dew points continue to climb. Again, temperature can't be lower than the dew point. So, as the dew point goes up, so too does the temperature. So, again, 20s and 30s out there today. It'll feel even colder when we factor in the wind. And then low temperatures tonight. You're looking at low 30s, right around 31.
Dropping a whole degree.
I know. It's going to be – watch out. So teens, 20s, and low 30s tonight. But then again, Saturday afternoon, we do rebound. Generally everyone is either above freezing or well above freezing. You're looking at 50s, maybe even near 60 degrees for some parts of the Panhandle. Southwestern Nebraska tomorrow. Lincoln, 38, around 50 in North Platte. So Saturday will be a pretty decent day, especially for western and southwestern Nebraska.
Absolutely. They're not really expecting any impacts from this event. They'll warm up tomorrow, and then by Sunday, we really get to warm up.
Mm-hmm. Sunday morning, again, temperatures a little bit above average, upper teens, upper 20s, but then check out these numbers Sunday afternoon. Again, cold is still in the northeastern corner of the state. Northeastern corner of the state's kind of gotten a raw deal over the last couple days. They've kind of been bottled up by some of that cold air, but anywhere from the low 40s to right around 60 degrees for the day on Sunday.
51 will feel pretty good. Last Sunday I know we were in the 60s, but we'll take 51 after this week.
We could go golfing in 51.
Absolutely.
Carmelo. We could do that. We could be outside. And so then even into early next week doesn't look too bad either. Monday morning, it's upper 20s, low 30s. Monday afternoon, mid 40s to low to mid 50s, north to south. Still right around 50 degrees here in Lincoln. Tuesday morning, low to mid 20s, so a few degrees above average. Then some cold air begins to creep in on Tuesday, so mid 30s across the northern tier of the state, but still upper 40s, low 50s
fairly
across
steady
the
for us,
southern
though.
half of the state. Yeah, so we're kind of, outside of today and tomorrow, you're kind of right around that 50-degree mark Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, which isn't too bad. A little bit colder than Wednesday, but then back above average by next Thursday. But again,
pretty dry next week, too.
It does, and unfortunately that continues towards the Christmas holiday as well. So again, you can obviously see today, tomorrow, by far and away the best chances for any moisture for us over the course of the next week. 10-day forecast for select cities across the state. Again, there's nothing crazy on here. Again, cold today, a little bit milder by the end of the weekend into the first half of the week next week. Precip chances, Carmelo, don't really like it when we see a lot of brown on this graphic, but a lot of brown.
That's the reality. The 8 to 14 day outlook, I was looking at it yesterday. Oh, we're about to take a look at it now.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Temperatures, this has been consistent. I
Yep.
don't remember the last time we saw blue on this map.
It's been a hot second.
Been a lot of orange, a lot of red. I mean, look at western Nebraska, 20th through the 26th.
Yep.
Good chances. I think that's the 70 to 80% range. You're going to see some above average temperatures.
And so this takes us, I mean, this is going to cover, the travel ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday, not Thanksgiving, the Christmas holiday, and then obviously Christmas itself on December 25th. So again, good odds at above average temperatures. Doesn't mean there couldn't be some snow
there's
in
gonna be
there.
cold snaps.
Carmelo. There'll
Absolutely.
be cold snaps in there. But overall, again, warmer than average during that time frame. The bad news is also
Look how widespread that is.
drier than average across the area through that same time frame. So again, right now, if I was a betting man, which I am, I would say the odds of a white Christmas are pretty slim at this point. That can still change. Again, it's still only December 13th. You have 2 weeks. So again, there's a lot can change. But I think climatologically speaking, I think it's like 50%, maybe just under that we have white Christmas here in Lincoln and for much of the
But
state
you
of
would have
Nebraska.
expected to see at least some snow at this point.
And yes.
it's just, we're starting to get into the latest snows ever. Well, that's a topic for another day, but it's going to be dry.
330, I believe,
Yes.
right?
We're definitely in the 320s to 330 range.
Yeah, since we've seen our last measurable snow.
Wow.
January 18th of this year. So,
Imagine
no
if we
snow.
made it a full calendar year.
That would be pretty wild. That would be pretty wild. So, again, but obviously no snow today. But, again, the big thing is going to be the freezing precipitation starting this afternoon. Again, we're thinking 2, 3 o'clock is when those chances at least begin to kind of tick up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Probably will be highest past 5, 6 o'clock tonight and then continue through about midnight and then hopefully seeing a change over to rain after midnight.
Absolutely. I think people need to know it starts in the afternoon, peaks into this evening, probably the worst time for it to peak. But we do expect a transition and a change over to rain around midnight. So we're looking at a good 6 to 12, and in some parts of the state, 18 hours of some freezing drizzle, maybe even some freezing rain, and maybe even heavy at times as well. So really just take it slow out there this evening. No need to be in a rush. There's nowhere that you need to go so quick that, could cause some problems.
Especially, again, like 2 weeks away from Christmas. Don't want anything bad to happen to
No,
anyone.
not at all.
This close to the holiday. It's supposed to be a fun time of the year. Again, it can be stressful ahead of the holiday, but,
Yes.
Want everyone to be safe and get to wherever they're going okay and not have anything bad happen. So just make sure you take it slow, like Carmelo said. But appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. Carmelo's going to have more details on the forecast. Brad's got us covered for the noon show coming up here in about 45 minutes or so. You got the 4 o'clock show this afternoon.
And by then we'll see some stuff happening.
And then we should hopefully kind of have a better idea of like, okay, we're a little bit late on the onset on this, so maybe we can decrease our totals or whatever it might be. Or so. And then meteorologist Brandon Rector will have you covered this evening. So again, make sure you have that 1011 Now weather app downloaded on your phone. Again, we'll keep you up to date on there. And keep tuned to 1011 both on air and online for all of the forecast details. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. Thanks, Carmelo, for jumping in and joining me. And hope everyone has a nice Friday. Hope everyone has a nice weekend.